Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Unfiltered Truth. I am your host, Phil Robinson III. With me today is Spotlight Raiders Talk. My man, Darion from the East Coast. How you doing today, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. It's feeling good. We don't have to really worry about the Raiders playing this week. We can actually sit back and relax and watch some football. We don't have to do pre-shows or none of that stuff. So it's definitely good to have it. And appreciate you having me on your show, man. Appreciate it.
All love. And let's have some fun. Talk to Raiders. Like you said, bye week is by far my least favorite week of the season. I hate not watching football. It gets me to feeling like the whole off season again, where I feel like a dope fiend off to the side, just like, give me some football. Give me some Raiders football. I mean, my boys is out here playing well, and now they got to break. Now they got to stop. I don't like it. But other than that, it's a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be happy about when you look at this team. With all things considered, they're currently 5-2. Coming off two of the best, most complete games they've played in a long time. And why don't you just start us off and give me some of your thoughts about what's going on?
The last two games, I really thought that the Raiders finally had a coming out party. The last two games, we talked on other panels about how we felt like John Gruden was kind of holding the offense back. And now we seeing we making some roster moves and making some moves that, John did bring in the Willie Snead situation. Willie Snead's no longer with the Raiders. If a lot of people don't know that, he did sign with Carolina. So best endeavors to him. But overall, I just feel like we started out 3-0. We dropped the last two. The email stuff came out and we persevere and we still have the adversity because there's still a lot of talk about in the news when it comes to that Raiders organization. And I think that we just got our head down and thinking about football. Even though we have a bye week, I still think, Carr and these guys is still focused to go into the next week against the Giants. Mind you, the Raiders have not played well at MetLife in the last couple of years. So hopefully we can go into MetLife in week 9 and get this dub because the Giants is not that good of a football team. So, I just really think that we just keep our head on a swivel, keep our heads right, keep our mind right, and take one game at a time before, we try to leap to, playoffs and stuff like that. It's only week 9. We still have a lot of time left. Take one game at a time, see what we could do in the trade deadline. If not, keep the guys that we have and keep rolling.
No, I agree with all of that. I mean, you take 1 week at a time, and that's the way to approach it. They have a team as constructed right now that's capable of beating anybody.
Yep.
As long as they do the 3 things that I say every week that everybody's just always on my head about. All they got to do is block, tackle, and execute. If they can do that, they'll win the more games than they don't. The Carr's putting up ridiculous, crazy numbers right now. He went 31 of 34 with the interception that he threw. He hadn't had a pass touch the ground for the first, 22, 23 of them before he threw his second incompletion.
Yeah.
And like I said on the show last night or the other day with Phil, when you see a quarterback with the accuracy rating that high, normally you see a lucky throw or a lucky catch. Somebody did something crazy to come down with a pass that shouldn't have been caught. But that wasn't the case. He was hitting open guys. He was hitting guys in rhythm. Nobody dropped anything. It was just beautiful to watch. High level execution, and that's a level of execution that we haven't been seeing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. A lot of people know they saying just let you know I might be a little blurry due to the Wi-Fi is I don't pay the Wi-Fi here. I don't pay the internet here. I have my regular core internet plugged up to this laptop, so I don't pay the bill. I just use it. Just letting y'all know if y'all don't see me correctly. But
okay, I thought it was me.
I have to
say nothing, but
yeah, but outside of Raider Rich, he said I got caught in the Matrix. I know he was talking about my Wi-Fi. I know he was talking about it because I had problems with being on Doc's channel earlier with my internet. So I've just been trying to see if I could get it fixed in some way. But I don't pay the bill. I can't do nothing about it. Hey, if y'all can hear me, that's even better. Cool. Yeah, I have to agree with you on everything. People felt as though that once we went 3-2, a lot of not even just Raiders fans, but the media and stuff. Oh, the Raiders thought who we thought they were. Here go to collapse again, and all of that nature. And I don't believe in none of that. I just feel like now the keys has been, given to Carr to run this offense. Olsen is going to, call the plays, but Carr's going to be on the field to make sure this stuff gets executed. And now, even though that we didn't have Waller against Philadelphia last week, we had a tight end in Monroe that came in and balled. So I just feel like, even though people say, "Oh, Waller was out," it might give the Eagles a slight chance. No, Foster Monroe just came in because now they're buying into Rich Pisaccia. They're buying into him. So yeah, I'm really excited, for us to have this bye week due to the fact that we might get, Mullen back, we might get Incognito back in week 9. There's been some rumors of them coming back, because of the bye week. So hopefully we can get those two back. I'm not really concerned about Arnett. So
No, I'm not concerned about Arnett either. Brandon Faxon, I keep butchering his name, and I've heard it a few times, but he's been that dude. He's come in and he's been targeted the most out of all the DBs. He's got the lowest completion percentage against. He's got the lowest QB rating against, and he came in and picked off the first pass he saw, I believe.
Right. Yeah. And, he comes from that, Los Angeles Chargers team. We got him off the practice squad right after we lost to the Chargers. That's the crazy part for me.
Yes. I was looking at him and I was like, the size, the length, the speed, pause. You know what I'm saying? That sounds kind of suspect. But when you're talking about a DB, those are all great things. And in this particular system with Gus Bradley running it, big corners with speed do very well in this system.
Right.
And he has been lock solid on the other side of Arnett. And for the first time, we see some actual competition amongst corners about who's pushing who for playing time. Nate Hobbs' spot is pretty much on lock. I don't see anybody getting him up out the slot. But now you have the freedom and flexibility of easing Mullen back in. And Mullen, by his own right, has been locked down as well. He's only allowing 57.2% completion rating against.
Right.
None of the Raiders DBs, with the exception of the 2 safeties, have given up a touchdown this season. This is you haven't seen anything remotely resembling a no-fly zone in Oakland, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas in the last 20 plus years. But right now, you got one.
Yeah. Yeah, and now just the only thing that for the Raiders, what needs to be worked on going into the bye week, getting this offensive line to keep playing how they played the last couple of weeks, and now let's see if we can build a run game. Even though the last couple of weeks, Kenyon Drake has played well, and Jacobs with the chest contusion, I hope that he's okay. But this offensive line has been really not too bad the last 2 weeks. If we could get a running game going, it just imagine how balanced our offense would be if we could get these 2 guys going. We had them, we had mad hype for them in the offseason, bringing in Kenyon Drake, to kind of replace Jalen Richard in some instance there, because Jalen Richard is like the 3rd running back on this roster, probably a 4th depending on where Alec Ingold is at. So I just really hope our offense can get the running game going, and we can, at least get some pieces or do something about this run defense. I think we're 25th in the league against the run. So we got to do better in that area.
Absolutely. And as always, wipe them feet, like, share, subscribe. This is the Unfiltered Truth with Spotlight Raiders Talk. We kicking it to you live right here, getting back to the facts right now. So, but back to what you were saying. Yes, when we had all the hype surrounding Drake and Jacobs coming in, and the run game has been picking up week by week. Last week, I believe, was the first week they broke 100 yards collectively as a team in a while, in at least a few weeks. I think it might have actually been the first time on the season, but I didn't check it to verify, so don't quote me.
Right.
Drake. It to me, and I'm gonna say this, and some people may not like it, and I don't really care. I think that they need to flip the order of the backs. I think they need to start Drake and run Drake early, and then bring in Jacobs as the change of pace back. Because
Okay.
right now, Drake is hitting the holes better than Jacobs is, and Jacobs isn't really getting. He's getting through the hole, but not clean. And Drake is getting through clean. And you've seen the yardage and the carries pick up for Drake, and the running game has improved because of it. The switch from zone blocking scheme to a run power gap scheme is making all the difference in the world for these guys who suddenly look like a competent offensive line.
And I have to agree. I mean, I just feel like right now when it comes to Josh Jacobs being not 100% healthy majority of this year, you got to put somebody in that's 100% healthy that definitely can do the carries. Now, mind you, Kenyon Drake did it in Miami. He did it in Arizona. He was a starter there, and he could do both, catch the ball at the backfield and run in between the tackles. I just felt like when John Gruden was play calling, I just felt like he went from Kenyon Drake not utilizing him correctly to Greg Olsen understand, like, okay, these are the best players I'm going to put out on the football field. And Drake has been utilized in the play calling from Greg Olsen for Kenyon Drake has been phenomenal. In the last 2 weeks, Drake has been the better back. It's sorry to say, but it's true. Even though that, Jacobs is coming off of another 1,000-yard year and a 1,000-yard year in his first year. But right now, the best ability is availability. If you not 100% healthy, put a running back in that is 100% healthy, and that's Kenyon Drake.
And he's ready to go and picking up the ball and running with it. And, like
Right.
you said, moving forward, it's a great problem to have when your running backs are pushing each other. The iron sharpens iron, and it's all competition on your ball club is better than competition with people around you. With the teams around you that you got to play because it never stops. If you know that once you get off the field, the guy behind you is still right there tapping you on the shoulder, letting you know he's taking your job, you keep going out there to perform or you lose your job.
Yep.
And in
Basically.
which case, and it's been a long time since that's been the case. It's been, as you can see, some guys were there on the team who got by off being high draft picks and are no longer contributing hardly.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Me personally, with this whole running back situation, and I want to ask, do you think that Jalen Richard is getting overpaid to be a third string running back?
Absolutely. In fact, if they weren't having offensive line issues with blocking for the majority of the season, I would have cut him before the season started. If you want my honest opinion.
Honestly, I really wanted him cut, even though I know that he's a good, change the pace back that could come out the backfield and catch the football, but and he's a good pass blocker as well. But just financially, I just think right now the way our cap is, Jalen Richard just doesn't fit our cap space. I'm not saying he doesn't fit as an offensive player because I do think he fits in his offense. I just think that almost $4 million for a third string running back is a bit much.
It's more than a bit much. I'd ask you this question. When was the last time he scored a touchdown?
Last time I remember when he probably scored a touchdown was
the first play that he ever had.
Yeah, was it the Saints last year?
Did he score last year?
I thought it was the Saints game. I thought it was Saints game in week 1. I'm not too sure. Because remember, I don't know if it was the Saints or it was another team, but I remember when he fumbled the ball and they got the turnover, and then we went back out on the field, and then he ended up redeeming himself and scoring, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm checking that right now. Keep talking.
I don't remember. Listen, I don't remember him scoring either. I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just don't remember him. I just don't remember him scoring. Okay. Not even all last year. Besides that one time.
That's why I said was it the first game? Let's see. He scored last year.
Yeah, I think we played the Saints the first
game was Carolina.
Oh, it was Carolina. He scored in Carolina?
No, he didn't score in Carolina.
I figured that. I figured that. I'm like, I don't know if he scored in Carolina. I'm not too sure about that one.
No, he didn't score in Carolina.
Or was it the Saints game that Monday night? Because I know we played
Monday night game. Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably the last time he scored then, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's only one a season, if that. He got 3 touchdowns for his entire career, and one came on the first play.
Wow. On the first play.
On the first play. First time he touched the ball at home in Louisiana, took it 75 yards. And we all thought, all right, here we go. We got something. And in typical fashion,
it didn't turn out that way.
His vision is suspect. He might have the physical gifts, but when it comes to seeing the hole, he can't do it. He's slightly better than Trent Richardson.
Not Trent Richardson. I was not a big fan. I was not a big fan of him with the Raiders either. He was a temporary running back for us too.
That's putting it nicely. I called him T Rash. but yeah, I mean, if ever there was a time for one of them LeBron memes, that was one that just have him pointing right at the hole, like, bro, what is you doing?
Right.
But
I was like all the whole debacle with him in the offseason really kind of like made me not want him anymore, because I know it was rumors about trading Jalen Richard. I know it was rumors about releasing him, and he went on Twitter and he butchered the Raiders for it. And then when the rumors was coming out, he actually took everything Raiders related off his Instagram. And I was like, okay, you're still under contract with us, and you're butchering us because we want to trade you or release you because you're making too much money? No, it's a business at the end of the day. You can't be butthurt about that.
And you suck.
Right.
I mean, we'll leave with that. I'd be like, you suck, and you're still getting paid all this money, and you're mad because they're trying to get some of their money back because you suck.
Exactly.
It's hilarious. It is hilarious. So, but let's focus on this defense and this pass rush. This pass rush has been out of this world. I mean, and when you think about, and when you just stop to think that the Raiders are the least blitzing team percentage-wise in the league, they've got the 3rd lowest amount of blitz with 38 on the season, but yet have 18 sacks, which is 7th most, 34 QB knockdowns, which is 2nd most, and 81 total pressures, which is tied for 2nd most. This is with the front 4. They're not bringing anybody extra.
Right.
And everybody on this defensive line, with the exception of Cleveland Farrell, and they played Jonathan Hankins because I swore I saw him get a solo sack, but everybody on this defensive line has at least half a sack to their credit.
Okay. Huh. Now, this defensive, as far as the pass rush, I think we're pretty good in that area as far as a pass rush, but I think we have the problem with our D tackles. Now, Jonathan Hankins has not been 100%, but he has not played up to par either, even when he was 100%. Then you have Quentin Jefferson. I think it's Quentin Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken, but you have Jefferson that's in that rotation. Cleveland Farrell, you have him in that rotation, because you don't really want to put him on the outside, as a DN, because, of the liability of him to, pass rush. But I just think our run game is the issue. And I just feel like it kind of sucks for the D tackles because of what Gus Bradley runs as a defense. When he runs that 4-2-5 and you have 2 linebackers in the middle, it's easy for linemen to get to the second level. It's that easy for linemen to get to the second level, and then you have holes that's open. So say if you double team Hankins and then that lineman moves up to the second level, Hankins is already out to play. So now you got to really focus on what can these linebackers do when you have two linebackers in there, especially 2 inside linebackers. Now, if it was a 4-3 base, then it's a little bit different. You could probably bring an extra guy, or you could have one of those outside linebackers scrape over. It's just so many ways you could do it. But I feel like the defensive tackles is getting double team and these offensive linemen going to the second level and killing our linebackers. Not so much of Denzel Perriman, but if you look at the Corey Littletons of the world or Nick Wachowski or even KJ Wright, even him. So I just think when it comes to it, it's time for some more stunts to be ran. It's time for the defensive line or these linebackers to do a little bit more movement before the snap, pre-snap. Get these quarterbacks a little bit confused. Make them make adjustments. Make them make audibles out of it. I just think we just stand there in our base and we don't try to confuse defenses. And it's just, I mean, it works right now. Don't get me wrong. But when we get to them better teams, they're going to exploit it.
No, absolutely. And it's more of the linebackers are the weak part of this defense. And while you've gotten incredible play from Denzel Perriman, and he's leading the league in tackles, he's also probably one of the most targeted linebackers in the league as well in the passing game, because everybody's catching the ball right behind him or right in front of him, and he's making all the tackles. Now, granted, that works when you move down the field, but that's also a major issue as to why the other team's passing game in between the numbers is working so well, because he's just not being able to cover anybody.
Right.
But in terms, you said something about the defensive tackles, and Hankins got hurt and hadn't been playing. I had wondered why Darius Philon had been a healthy scratch for the last couple of weeks. I was like, he's making waves in the passing game. He's got a couple of sacks. But the flip side of that is that the run defense has also been much better. What I saw where teams were running was to the left side, aiming at, like you said, doubling the 3 technique and then scraping out to get the linebacker after that, because in a 4-2-5, there's really no protection offered, especially with a 3 technique that's being doubled and on a combo block. And then with Yannick doing what he did and getting up the field, you have a natural hole on that side of the field. And then the teams that are running the zone blocking runners are getting everybody moving that way, and the running back is hitting a cutback right behind the linebacker because you only have 2, and so he's hitting the second and third level relatively untouched.
Right.
And so
that's basically what it is, because now when you have those cutback lanes, it's going to really be tough to run a 4-2-5 out and do a cutback lane. It's going to be hard for the defense or the linebackers to, like, especially if they over pursue on those cutback lanes. If they over pursue and there's no other linebacker to be found. So you want to make sure you have that third linebacker to not over pursue or scrape over, so he won't get those extra yards. So it's ways around it. I just think Gus Bradley is still filling out the defense to see where he could put who. And I'm still waiting for Darius Philon to get back. That's another one. I know he had a knee injury. He was out, but I forgot what week it was that he was out. But now this healthy scratch stuff, I'm starting to get tired of it, because, Cleveland Farrell was that in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. Now we have Darius Philon. Now it's time for him to be 100% and be back for the Giants game.
I agree. I totally agree. But so I got a question for you.
Okay.
Who's the best pass rushing tandem in the league?
Honestly, I really don't. I mean, for real, is Yannick and Max. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I don't see any other defenses that have better pass rushers than us. I just don't see it in the NFL right now. People might put, like, Khalil Mack and the other guy. I don't even know the other guy's name.
Robert
So that, yeah. So you could probably put him on there. But I'm still going with Yannick and Max, man. I mean, they got the most pressures, like the top pressures in the NFL. Hands down is Yannick and Max for me. Don't get me wrong, it is some good ones out there, but I don't think they're getting more pressure than us.
As a whole entire defensive line, no. That's how we're up there so high. In terms of the sack combinations and pressure combinations, Yannick and Max are number 5.
Okay.
They're up there high, and trust me when I tell you, the degree of separation is a sack. 1 sack and maybe 2 or 3 pressures here or there. I mean, they're right there at the top. But the leaders of the clubhouse are Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard from Cincinnati. right now. The
Oh
Bengals.
yeah, I forgot about those boys. They very underrated for Cincinnati. And now knowing that Cincinnati's winning football games because of their defense and their offense is kind of dynamic, which we played this year. I can't wait for that game. So I totally forgot about those boys, and I should have thought about that because I just did the game last Sunday when they had 5 sacks on Lamar Jackson. I should have thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Trey Hendrickson has been a personal pet project of mine because I scouted him heavily coming out of college, and I was comparing him up, and everybody was talking about Myles Garrett, but he was Myles Garrett's equal with no hype whatsoever at all.
Right.
And all he's done is come into the league, and while he hasn't put up crazy numbers, he's been solid. He's been solid everywhere he's been, which is just New Orleans and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But when I really wanted them to try to get him out there to Las Vegas as well, but it is what it is. Overall, Max is leading the league in QB hits, knockdowns, and pressures. I believe he's
okay.
Killing. No, he's 4th in pressures, but he's killing it. Absolutely killing it.
I agree. The boy's balling.
And he's found a way to get past all the holding, and really he was just gonna have to learn how to work his hand chops and whatnot because he wasn't gonna get that call.
Right.
But this whole defense it's been something that I continue to marvel at. You know, when they came out against the Eagles and gave up that touchdown so fast, I didn't even know. I hadn't even got in my seat on the couch yet, and they were already down 7. And then they didn't score at all from up until halfway through the 3rd again, almost the 4th.
Yeah.
I said
we gave up 16 points in that second half overall. Because they scored, they started scoring when we got too damn comfortable, and that's another problem that I worry for the Raiders. If we got the foot on the necks, we got to keep our foot on the necks, man. We got to.
Yeah, that's one thing that no matter how they try to do it and who I see trying to run the clock out, it's like it's just not working. The run game is just not where it needs to be right now in order to execute that successfully. The best bet for them is to, like you said, to keep it going and keep it rolling. If you don't want Derek to take shots or minimize that, run a read option until Mariota gets hurt again. I don't know. It's kind of hard, but
not the Mariota effect.
Well, I said till he gets hurt. You know, who knows? That could be one play.
I was nervous last week.
Brad, trust me. When I seen him go down, I was like,
get up, Mariota. I said, get up.
All right, we do it. And we didn't see him again, though. But so I guess it might as well have been the same thing as if he was hurt.
Yeah, that's true too. Do you think that they would trade Mariota during the trade deadline, or do you think we'll keep him?
They're keeping him. Keeping him. Mark Davis really likes Mariota.
Okay.
He liked what he saw. He liked what he saw in the Charger game, and right now, winning is paramount for him. There is nothing that he needs to do more, especially with the comments that he came out and made about the owners' meeting and needing transparency in this Washington football team investigation. So right now, what he needs to do is make sure that his football team goes out there and takes care of business,
right,
week in and week out.
He listen, just go out there and play football. I'm going to do the rest.
Yep.
Basically,
and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. What I've enjoyed most about these couple of weeks without Gruden has been the lack of an ego. They've given transparency. Everything that they've said in press conferences has happened. Everything that you see on the field is reflective of everything that they say and work on during the week. Carr is executing a level of mastery over the offense and leadership over the team that I haven't seen. And that's because he's got all of the obstacles out of his way. And we're now heading into we've got out of pretender season, and now we're heading into contender season. And
that's been our biggest thing the last couple of years. We start out so well, and then we collapse. And I really hope that's not the case this year.
Absolutely, and that's what I was leading into getting ready to say. Early in this year, I said I wanted to jump on the bandwagon and be MVP this, MVP that, but we've seen this movie 2 years in a row.
Right.
What I said is that Carr couldn't show me anything until about week 12. I want to see him take it the rest of the way. He's been masterful, best I've ever seen him look. He's done everything that I could ask for, with the exception of throwing more touchdowns. Said, but now his next trick is going to be keeping it on track and getting to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Consistency is key. Consistency is key, and we have to keep that consistency up if we want to. We got to go out and beat those teams that we supposed to beat, like the Giants in week 9, and then we supposed to have those good games against Cincinnati. We can't go into a Cincinnati game being comfortable or because of our record and stuff like that. And that's how I felt going into the Chargers game when we lost. I feel like the media hyped us up a little bit too much, and it got to our head, and we stunk it up. Period. And now the way the last 2 games, the way we won, we can't go into MetLife and just stink it up. We can't go against Cincinnati and we even can't look over Kansas City. We have to win these games. I think these are winnable games, and I think we can win them. But we just gotta keep their focus and block out the media and block out what they saying good about us, because when they say bad about us, we play good. When they talk good about us, we play like shit. Never fails.
Never ever. That reverse psychology, us against the world, is what the Raiders were built on, and it's what they need to get back to. So far, it's working beautifully. And they need to not change nothing about what they're doing. And so I would encourage the media to keep shitting on them. They need it.
Yeah, keep talking shit about our Raiders. ESPN, FS1, all those big name networks. Keep talking shit. We just keep winning.
Just keep on stacking them up. Now, here's an interesting one. Here it goes. We need Quentin Williams. I think it's Quentin. Or Leonard Williams from the Jets or Giants, because if we can push the middle of the pocket, it's game over. I venture to say the middle of your pocket is doing quite well with getting the push. Solomon Thomas has been an animal in there. Yeah. So has Quentin Jefferson. Now, if I could get Quentin Williams or Leonard Williams, would I take them? Absolutely. But I don't see Robert Saleh. What the hell? Getting rid of Quentin Williams. I just don't see it. That would be silly. That's a centerpiece of his defense. Right. And the Giants just paid Leonard Williams a lot of money this offseason, I believe.
Now, the only thing I can really think of what's the reason of they trading, Quentin Williams or getting rid of him because of his contract. Or are they trying to clear up space? And so it's more like a business aspect, but I don't think Robert Saleh would let that happen.
No.
And I don't think right now with the Raiders salary cap, from what I remember, I don't even think we could take on that contract right now.
No, they can make some moves to get some space, but you talking about $20 million. That's a lot of money that they'd have to.
That's clear. A lot of people you're gonna have to release or trade.
And he's not that much better than what you got. What you got is working. So I'm of the camp that when something is working, when it's not broken, you don't fix it.
Fix it, right.
And this team is doing well enough on its own without blitzing that you don't need to be bringing in new guys. You just need to make sure that your guys stay healthy and stay loose and continue to do what they've been doing, which is kicking ass and taking the quarterback down hard.
Now, my next question to you is this. Darn, it was right there when you was talking about it. My next question to you is this. Who should we go get during the trade deadline? Do you think we should keep the guys that we have, or what do you think we should go get that's going to be like it won't break our pockets in salary cap?
So that is an excellent question, and it's not the first time that I've heard this, and I was stumped the first time I heard it too, because I don't see a glaring need for anything major. I think that at all of your skill positions, you're in a good spot. You're in a really good spot on offense. The only thing that I would probably look to add would be the offensive line. I'd like to, if possible, I'd like to get better at right tackle. I prefer that Brandon Parker stayed the swing tackle because if something happens to him, we're screwed because they have no depth to tackle anymore. I like what I've seen. I've liked what I've seen from Leatherwood at right guard, and if Richie does in fact come back, that would be a free agent acquisition in its own right for them to get better. Andre James has been much improved with the change in blocking philosophy. So while everybody was saying replace him, he's the worst guy ever. Now you're not even hearing his name called on the TV broadcast. All of that is a roundabout way for me to say pretty much is that I think that they should stick with their guys, and if they can add somebody great that nobody all pro guy that nobody knows is available right now, then so be it. But if they didn't make a move other than to add some depth, here we go, Sean. This is the one. That is the one that I would consider doing. And if they would take Cleveland Farrell, I'd thank them for it tremendously.
And then what about the one that above that comment? Dominique 5 talk about right tackle Morgan Moses from the Jets. He's only 30 and he's importantly a durable and very solid respected PFF grades. I don't care for PFF grades. I really don't. Even though he might be well respected, he's 30 years old. It's not really about the players. It's really about the cap space. What can the Raiders do as far as their cap space? From what I remember, I think we only got like what?
4 or 5.
We don't got that much cap space, this year in a long. So if we go trade players for big contracts, it's going to be a cap hit to us, and it might be a cap hit to whoever's trading for him. So you got to look at it from the money standpoint. We would love to go out and get certain players like the Michael Proctors of the world, which I did a video on. But who do we have to give up financially to get these guys?
And the beauty of it is that now that we're halfway through the season, that the team that he was playing for has picked up most of half of the contract already for what he's paid for the year. Now it would come down to the game checks, and you could probably make something like that happen and cut a guy here or there. But Morgan Moses' problem, I believe, is that he can't pass block, which that's cool if you want to get the run game cracking. But you're going to be in a bad situation when you're tipping defenses what you're doing by switching the tackle in and out for passing situations and run situations. That just wouldn't make no sense. I don't like it. I wouldn't trade for Morgan Moses.
And P-Dog 006 says, why not bring back David Sharp? Is he hurt? I don't know about David Sharp. I was not a big fan of David Sharp.
I don't even know where David Sharp is, Pedro.
I think he was on the Washington football team, if I'm not mistaken.
On the other side of Charles Leno?
I think so. I think that's what we trade. I think that's what we trade him to, or that's where he went.
That's actually not a bad move. I would trade for Charles Leno. I would trade for Charles Leno. I'd put him on the right side. He's a nice, solid pickup. He's good. He's durable. He's played every game of his career. He started to get some of the love that he deserved out there in Chicago right before they cut him as a cap casualty, and he re-signed in Washington. Washington ain't going nowhere this year, and so that might be a good pickup for them. That'll be under the cap and still keep them within that target range of what they have for salary cap wise. So that would be a move that I'd consider making.
Okay. I'm not too bad with that. It's not too bad with that. I'll definitely do that. But who you think the Raiders should think about trading? Because there's only two guys that I say the Raiders might trade. And one of them is going to be Cleveland Farrell. He's been in the trade talks all year, number one. And Damon Arnett, they said a lot of people don't want to take on his rookie contract, but I don't think he's getting paid top 10 money top 10 draft pick money to a point where it's not going to kill us in the cap hit. So, trade one of those guys to get an offensive lineman like Andre Dillard. How do you feel about that?
Well, I wouldn't. I don't think anybody's gonna trade for those two guys. If you were lucky, you get a bag of peanut shells for Clee and Damon Arnett. I got one for you. And get ready. Take a deep breath because I know it's coming.
Oh man, here we go.
I'm trading Jacobs.
What?
I'm trading Jacobs. I'm trading Jacobs while he has value right now.
I don't know about that
He's
one.
Not getting re-signed. He's not getting re-signed. Remember, they're paying Kenyon Drake $8.5 million next year, guaranteed.
I understand that. Would you rather cut him or trade him?
No, I'm not cutting him. I'm not cutting him. I am not cutting Josh Jacobs. There's a difference. I said I was going to trade him while he still maintained the largest amount of value that he has. His injury history and his yards per carry are creeping in a negative direction. And so you're not going to re-sign him. So you might as well get something for him now because I sure ain't going to pay him $10 million or whatever his accelerator is for hitting year 5.
You got some points there. You have some points there. Now, that's going to come down to when are we going to trade him? I wouldn't say this year. The thing about it is because I think Keon is on a 3-year contract with us.
2.
So I mean, if you do trade Jacobs, right? Just hypothetically, because I don't see the Raiders happening because they got him in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of the first round, I don't think they're going to trade Josh Jacobs at any point in time. Not no time soon, in my opinion. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to extend Drake.
I think you draft a running back. I like a lot of the guys that they got coming out. You run Drake, you let him go his 8.5 in the next season, and then the season after that. So basically, after next year, you're looking at having a rookie running back or a second-year running back in $14-15 million coming out of freedom that would have been tied up in the running back room.
Yeah.
That's the way that I'd approach it.
If you're going to see with Jacobs, my only thing is like everybody say, no, it's crazy talk. If Phil got caught up in the 2 games, that's what Raider Rich says. It's not about getting caught up in the 2 games. It's really about the durability of Josh Jacobs. Like, he just has not been healthy since he came into the league.
At all.
Even if he did have that 1,000-yard rushing in his rookie year, he set out the last 3 games of the season, could not play. And then last year he had another 1,000-yard season. He barely played for that 1,000 yards though. So
only broke 100 yards twice.
Right, only broke 100 yards twice. I get it. I get it 100%. But I say, if not next year, then if next year, if he does not play at least 12 of the 17 games that we have, trade him.
Next year you have no leverage. That's the problem. So next year will be his 4th year, and with the 4th year, you'd either have to give the 5th year option or you'd have to cut him. So if you're not gonna be able to trade him because they'll know he'll be available and they won't have to give anything up for him.
You got a point there too, but I mean, I think right now, if you trade him, what value does he really actually have? He has not been productive this year.
So here's the thing: is that you could also right now the way you could spin it is you can make a case for the offensive line has been terrible. They haven't blocked for him. They haven't got holes for him. All of the reasons that you would say as why the Raiders' running game hasn't gotten started is all the same excuses you could use to get asked for a 2nd, 3rd pick for Jacobs.
See, if we want to trade Jacobs, right, I would keep in gold. Now we got to see what we could do with Richard. Now, does Richard stays if we trade Jacobs?
So my question is, instead of Richard, my question is, how far along is Peyton Barber? because when Peyton Barber got in it, he was doing the damn thing himself. So you could run Peyton Barber and Kenyon Drake off of each other, especially with the change from zone to power, and not miss a beat. You could keep Rashard in at the same responsibilities that he has now, and have an extra second round pick on you. Some people, it's something to think about. It's at this point, it's strictly hypothetical. And if you said, what would you trade? Who would you go with? You got to think of what you're going to get. Are you making a trade just to make a trade? Or are you trying to make a trade to get something to put you over the hump?
I still think his best ability is availability, and Jacobs has not really been that available to us, injury-wise. There's always something every week on why that guy is hurt. There's always something. I think he wants to stay a Raider, but I just think financially, if I am the Raiders, that's some consideration. It's sad, but it's true because Jacobs was our workhorse. But I think Gruden just wore his body down a bit too much in the first couple of years he was here.
Yeah, and like I said, it is a straight up business move. It's definitely not going to be popular. I make no qualms about that. Nobody is going to like that.
They're not. Just like the Khalil Mack trade. Yeah. Nobody didn't like that either.
No,
but we just had to deal with it because it was more of a business move than a personnel move.
Right. And you could even pass it off as a personnel move, but it's definitely something that would be crazy. I mean, you look at his overall yards per carry, he's in the 3s. Like that's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it. And quiet as kept, a lot of people really aren't going to talk about how slow Josh Jacobs has been looking lately. He don't look like he got the same level of burst and acceleration that he did when he first came in, because
I don't think he's 100% either. I think he still had the turf toe. I still think he has ankle injury. He still had the lower leg injury. I just think he's even 100%. The chest contusion just adds to the amount of injuries that he has.
And you're right. You're right. I can't argue with that. In fact, but that just goes to further my own point and the point that you made. The best ability is availability and being uncompromised. And if you hurt every game of the season, I got to be able to find somebody that's not.
Right. 100%. I agree. I was just like, okay, let's see what we could do with Jacobs and see what happens. And, his trade value could be a little bit better. We probably could get more for him if he was 100%. 100%. But at the same time, if he's 100%, he's being successful. Then I'm just like, nah, I don't know if we want to trade him now. Yeah, but at the same time, he's only had one healthy year. So you got to look at it from both. You got to look at it from both aspects.
Right. Right. And the interesting thing about it is that he's coming out saying that he's not hurt. Well, I was like, okay, well, if you're not hurt, then play it, then perfect. Why aren't you running better? Last week, 4.8 was his highest yard per carry average of the season, but he only carried 4 or 5 times.
Got a point there too. Even with Trey Regis, even though we go out and say if you want to draft one, why don't we just give Trey Regis a shot?
You got him on the roster, you definitely could. I like it with the change in the pass blocking scheme and the way that Derek Carr is now sitting back and working with his line. They got a better plan in order for the ball to come out sooner, and they finally got away with that twin arch bunch, that thing that they were running that absolutely drove me crazy. And they don't allow defenses to stack up nine deep on the line. And it's helped them out tremendously. So I would say that, you don't need the need for a blocking back isn't as great. I like what they have in terms of if Barber's healthy to go, Barber and Drake will be fine. Regis could be cool. It's all kind of a moving piece kind of jump off. You got to have depth, and having good guys waiting in the wings, like I said earlier, that's not a problem. That's a great problem to have.
Yeah, and even though that I was seeing in the chat that someone said, Jacobs wasn't, utilized that much at Alabama. I disagree. When it came down to it, Nick Saban was splitting the carries. Jacobs was on the field just as much as the starting running back. I think it was Najee Harris at the time,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, or
Yep.
it was another Harris. I'm not too sure.
It was. I want to say it was between Scarborough and Harris. That trade.
Right. They was a running back by committee, but Jacobs had good carries. He was catching the ball at the backfield. He wasn't injury prone at Alabama because of the running back committee that Alabama has. See, I watch college football every Saturday, so I know what's coming out the draft. So with me personally, you can't say that he wasn't getting the ball that much, which he was. Like people say with Ruggs, Judy was the guy, or Devontae Smith was the guy. Ruggs was getting part of that. Ruggs was a part of that offense too.
Plenty love.
They was just a balance. It was just a balanced offense. Period. So you can't really say Jacobs wasn't getting majority of the snaps. Where he was getting snaps, they was just getting the even amount of carries. Basically.
And you also got to remember, he had the premium of everything. He had the best line. He had the best backup. He had the best second back. He had the best wide receivers. He had it all. The best strategists, the best nutrition, the best everything at Alabama. And that's not to say that he doesn't have state of the art facilities, a personal chef, and all that good stuff with the Raiders. But it's not pros versus college kids either. He's got to earn it at this league every single play. And that's not to say that he hasn't, but it comes at a cost when every guy that you play is a pro. Every guy that hits you is a pro.
Yeah, definitely. Is a big difference from taking that leap from college football to the NFL. Is a big leap. And people fail to realize, like, coming into this league, listen, Jacob made his impact. But once you start pounding and grounding the way you've been, it's going to take a toll on you. And it has taken a toll on him very early in his career.
Very early. I think he was hurt week 2 of his rookie year. And even during it, played like a beast, injured almost the entire rookie season.
Right.
And that was one of my chief concerns about him coming out was durability. Like you said, he was never a workload at Alabama. That was the difference. That's right. Now, will Fluker be okay? Now, that's the name that I thought about when we were talking about who would we bring in. Truth be told, I don't have very much faith in Daniel Lee Fluker.
I don't know too much about him. I knew from what I've heard is that Fluker is coming off of an injury and he barely practices.
Yeah.
So if he's coming off of an injury, why would we sign him if he's coming off of an injury? That just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, don't we want players that's healthy and not players that's hurt? Like, if he's, like I said, like we're gonna keep saying it until people understand the best ability is availability. If you're not practicing on the practice field, make sure that you're gonna go on the field and do the same thing. You practice how you play.
I'm the only thing that I could think of is maybe their doctor said that he wasn't far away, and they're just keeping him just on the strength to see what happens because it's only 8 games into the season. It's only week 8, and they still need to make a run for at least 9 more weeks and beyond.
I'm just not a big fan of Fluker. I thought he was 100% coming in. Really practiced with us since he signed. That's a red flag for me.
I just think that signing Charger linemen and ex-Charger linemen in general is a bad idea, especially that one. But
he played for Baltimore too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Interesting.
And so we can hope we get something out of him. But I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Right.
But it's possible that you could. I'm not going to say that it's not. I mean, he's on the team, so I wish him the best. I hope he gets well. I hope he goes out there and kills it and has a career renaissance.
I mean, that's what a lot of players come through the Raiders anyway, to get their careers revived anyway.
Like this man right here, he done got his mental game together. He's gone out he went from being the number 4 overall pick to a borderline bum in San Francisco, and now he's on his way back. If I would like to see him get a contract with the Raiders again, but he's got to continue doing what he's doing. If he could finish with about 4 to 5 sacks and a couple more TFLs and another fumble recovery, I believe he's got 2 forced fumbles as well. Let me check. Yeah, he's got.
And even he said, I think every sack that I think he said every sack that he gets, he's donating like $8,000 or something like that, like $8K
to his foundation. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I would definitely like to see more of him. I was skeptical of him because of the ACL tear, because of what I saw, but this is the guy that I saw at Stanford. He's been a beast. And actually, no, it's not, because he played on the outside at Stanford. They moved him inside, but it's been making all the difference in the world for him.
And I like Solomon Thomas. A lot of Raider Nation was not big on Solomon Thomas signing here because of what he did in San Francisco. But I said this I said sometimes the change of scenery might be something different. Right. His mentality is different. I think he came into here. He came with the Raiders a little bit lighter on the side, too, more bulk as far as like muscle wise. But he was already when we signed Solomon Thomas, he was coming off an injury too, but he was ahead of his time with his injury. So that's why I feel like, Mike Mayock and, Gruden at the time believed in Solomon Thomas, even Gus Bradley. So, and you see the productivity on the field. Sometimes you just need that change of scenery. And now, the 49ers probably regretting, we got Arden Key now. Okay, but Solomon Thomas is playing better than Arden Key. Yeah, let's just keep Arden Key in Santa Clara or whatever they play at.
Say that. And Maurice Hurst to a lesser extent. I got no beef with Maurice Hurst. That was my guy too, but Solomon Thomas is outperforming both of them.
Both of them. Yep.
Both of them. Which you look at all of this, and it just what I've really seen throughout this defense that has just been mind-boggling to me is that how much Paul Gunther sucked as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and
awful. Awful.
And just for Michael James, I know he said Spotlight, you told me Gus Bradley was a red flag too. Let's wait and see. I'm saying I was not a fan of Gus Bradley coming in to be in our defense. At the beginning, I was a Raheem Morris type of guy. I didn't really want Gus Bradley because Gus Bradley don't blitz enough, which you don't see now. So, I mean, I was not a big fan of Gus, especially coming from a Chargers defense, even when he had the Melvin Ingram, the Joey Bosa's. They didn't look that well last year. So, I was not a big fan of Gus Bradley. I wasn't. I wanted Raheem Morris, even though Gus Bradley had a rapport with Gruden, but Raheem Morris has won a Super Bowl with Gruden in Tampa Bay with that defense. So that was just my guy. I still, like I said, he has changed his defense around for the better. Let's just wait and see what else can he do. So because right now we're 25th against the run. What is Gus Bradley going to do to make those adjustments to change that ranking?
That's a good question. Because when you dive deeper into the numbers, the Raiders are still the team that is surrendering the most yards to quarterbacks rushing the football, and that's really where the numbers are getting out of whack. Because if you look at the running backs, they've only given up 100-yard rusher this season, and that was Austin Eckler that faded Chargers game. So they've been handling the run relatively well and keeping runners bottled up. It's just been that quarterback taking off on whether it's been designed runs or passing plays that broke down. Because Lamar Jackson killed him. Jacoby Brissett did enough of keeping the plays alive to just murder to keep Miami in the game. Then you look at Jalen Hurts, his mobility got Philadelphia back in the game.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that is one of their major things, but that also boils down to a 4-man rush and not blitzing anybody. Part of what's helping them be so great in pass coverage is they're playing off and they're keeping everything in front of them. Well, so what is key going forward is that this defense continues to tackle as well as they have. They've only missed 43 tackles on the season, which has got them with the 17th least, I believe. So they're right in the middle of the pack in terms of missed tackles.
So hopefully Gus Bradley can make some adjustments, in the second half of this season, because we don't need that, especially quarterbacks like a Joe Burrow that probably might scrambling. You never know with him. So hopefully we just gotta, make sure that we could probably pin down that run defense. Because our back end is not that bad. Our back end is really good when it comes to our corners and our safety. And Trayvon Merrick has played well. Even though that Gus Bradley put him out on the island as a single high safety, he still does his job. So It's just the run game. We just got to pin down or pin our ears back and stop giving up 5-6 yards to carry up the middle. We just can't be doing that.
No, absolutely can't. Once again, this is the Unfiltered Truth with our special guest, Darion from Spotlight Raiders Talk. Give him a like, a follow. Give the Unfiltered Truth a like, follow, a subscription. Wipe them feet.
Yep.
But one of the guys that has impressed me to no end has been Jonathan Abram. I was ready to run that guy out of town. I was ready to cut him, not trade, just cut him. And he's got with Ron Miles. He shut his mouth. He's listened. He's got all of his issues were between the ears. And right now, Jonathan Abram is giving up an 87.8 QB rating when targeted. That sounds like a lot, right? Last season, it was 111.4.
That's a stat that I didn't know at all.
When targeted, his completion percentage so far this season is 67.7%. That is good. Yeah. Last year was 81.8. That's
crazy.
That is insane. And not only that, he's seen 31 targets so far this season in half the season. He saw 33 total last year.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Jonathan Abram has been out there playing his ass off.
But at the same time, too, the discipline that he gets now. Yes. Gunther couldn't control him.
No.
That he's playing more disciplined football than he was last year.
And that was the thing that my biggest concern, my biggest peeve with the defense was like Gunther's got him playing in zone way too much. And to what you said about Bradley, this would also apply to that. They are better attacking than they are sitting in zone.
Yes.
Abram and Hobbs are the best. Abram, Hobbs, and unfortunately we won't get him back, but Nicholas Morrow are the best blitzers on this team. Their blitzing is top notch. They need to blitz Abram a little bit more. Hobbs, they can pick spots a little better. Littleton has been all right, but Abram and Hobbs have been the ones that have been getting to the quarterback on the sacks and heating them up and causing disruption.
Yeah, and I just feel like with Abram is just that I had issues with him, when they played the two safeties with Paul Gunther. We all knew that Abram was not a great cover safety. We already knew that from the rip coming out of college. So Gunther would never put him in the box like Gus Bradley is doing now. He's covering the short route instead of the deeper routes where it's not much. You getting help from good corners as well. Last year our corners was not that great. I mean, Moto was our number one corner. Now we have Hayward on an island where nobody wants to throw to him. It makes Abram's jobs easier as in the box safety. It makes Merrick's jobs easier. It makes Mullen's jobs easier when he's on the opposite side. So Gus Bradley bringing that strategy to play to the player's strengths, that's what I like about it. Because something that Paul Gunther have not done, have not played to the player's strengths at all when he was here.
It's earth-shattering right there, Spotlight. That right there, you need to slow down. Okay. I don't know if anybody's ever accused you of making too much sense right now, but you're pretty damn close. You need to just peel back right now and say something crazy to get back on the regular path. Coaching the players' individual strengths is something that I thought that this was common knowledge and what every coach did, but apparently I've been wrong. And Stu has told me that more often than not, you see egotistical coaches more worried about looking good than putting up numbers and winning. I don't know how that's possible. To me, if you don't have the numbers, you don't look good. That's just exactly right off the top. But the fact that goes back to what you've seen on offense and defense and having no ego. Like, okay, this is what you do. Fine. We'll figure out a way to work in what you do, and I'll piece you together with this dude over here, put you guys together, and when you guys do your thing together, it's going to be something that looks like football. That's my favorite Gus Bradley expression. Well, it certainly looks like football.
Yeah. It definitely looked like football, and like if you look at it, everybody's playing their part, and Gus Bradley is letting them take accountability for their actions when they do something wrong. He gets in there behind, or the staff's getting there behind. Paul Gunther was too laid back. He was too buddy. Listen, Gus Bradley comes in and be like, listen, we come here to work. I understand that you want to be buddy and have fun. You can do that off the field, but when it's on the field, we're trying to clean up everything that we did in the previous week, so we won't do it in the next week. That's what I like about Gus Bradley. He's very hard-nosed when it comes to this defense. He wants this defense to be better every single week. So if I am the Raiders fans right now, even myself, like I said before, I was not a big fan of Gus Bradley. But what I'm seeing, the product on the field now with the pass rush and the people that he brought in, and that's another thing too. I said this before on the Spotlight Raiders Talk many of times. We need the veterans to mix with these young guys. Now we have the veterans at every level of our defense. It makes the young guys more comfortable on top of having Gus Bradley and veteran coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. Can't go wrong with it now. You can't go wrong with it.
No, not at all. You got veterans at every level. You got young talent at every level. And that's the way to build a team and keep a team fresh going forward and build for the future as well. Overall, this team has been sensational, and everything that we talked about, we still haven't even quite got to wide receivers and the improvement that you've seen from the two rookies from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Ruggs is leading the team with yards with 469 and leading the league in average depth of catch with 19 and a half yards. That last game against the Eagles hurt his average a little bit, but he's only got 2 drops, and he's caught 24 passes so far, for which I believe is 1 off his total from last year.
That's not too bad. And you just got to look at it from an aspect where Ruggs and Edwards didn't have a real full off season last year.
Not at all.
COVID year, I mean, we're already still in COVID, but the COVID year with no OTAs, no training camp, everything was Zoom calls. You really couldn't get the repetition out there on the field. Now technically, this is really, if you want to be technical, this really could be Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs' rookie season with a full year of OTAs and training camp and preseason games as well. Though, I mean, even though Bryan Edwards and Ruggs didn't play any preseason games, but at the same time, those guys is getting the reps every single day now during training camp. And now practices comes, it gets a little bit more continuity. It gets a little bit more, they are in sync with Derek Carr. So now things are starting to see like you practice how you play, which you really couldn't practice how you played last year because you barely was on the field with COVID.
No, and you didn't have an NFL offseason. You did your work wherever, but you see the gains that they made in the offseason in terms of strength, and a part of that is because they're still young kids growing. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they've been able to come out and their physicality has made that much more of an impact on their game, and just from one year to the next. They said sophomore slump. These boys are about to double and triple their output. Said Ruggs has already matched his entire output from last season already. Said Edwards has already, I want to say, doubled it up with 18 catches, 346 yards, and a touchdown. Both of them have already exceeded their production from last season and are only going to get better. When you look at the pass catchers for this team, nearly every one of them is within 55 yards of 400. So Waller's got 378, Ruggs has got 469, Renfro's got 399, Edwards has 346. Zay Jones is the only receiver who's under 200 yards, and that's because he's only got 7 catches for 115 yards. And Foster Moreau finally got some burn, and he's got 10 catches for 113 yards. Derek Carr's QB ratings to Ruggs is the highest on the team with 128.2.
That's insane.
Next up is Hunter. His rating is with Ruggs is better than Renfro. Renfro is at 109.8 by almost 20 points.
But that's that's what I love about the weapons that we have, man. It just makes Carr's job a little bit easier. It's just like Hunter Renfro's not a deep guy, but if you want to get a first down, Hunter Renfro's that guy. If you wanted something, a 20-yard bomb or a 40-yard bomb, you're going to Henry Ruggs. If you wanted, which I want to see in the red zone more, is see Brian Edwards go for it on 50-50 balls in the red zone because, they make the comparison for him and Michael Crabtree. So I want to see that connection. Then we can see it long down the year. But it's just so many now. Keon Drake, a guy that could get the ball out the backfield. It's just so many ways Carr can get a first down or get majority of the yards with so many weapons, even in the depth chart. We look at our depth chart. Zay Jones, 43 yards on 1 catch last week against the Philadelphia Eagles on a 3rd and 15. If that was John Gruden, we probably would have ran the ball and punted it, basically.
And that's baffling. Yeah, I've heard about all this big, huge playbook that he's supposed to have, 900 pages, volume, that thick, all of that good stuff. And we still watching the same plays over and over again. And yet they're running, make no mistake, the Raiders are running the same playbook. There's no change in playbook. There's no change in philosophy. None of that. This is all still his plays. But somebody else took his playbook and is mixing and matching and calling different plays and trusting his guys to go out and make plays and featuring them instead of being egotistical about the way that they want to run the offense and running it their way. And it's made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it made all the difference in the world. And I feel like now Carr is, like I was saying it so many years, free Derek Carr. Because if you I was not a big fan of Gruden coming back. I was not a big fan of it because I knew he was going to bring that 1999, 2000, 2001 ass offense. I've been saying it since he's been here. Oh, Chucky's back. He's going to make a difference. No, bro, y'all forget he's been out the league too long. Just because you're a broadcaster, is the difference between being a broadcaster and a coach. You got to keep up with the Joneses of what the NFL is doing. It's a copycat league, and Gruden did not want to be that copycat and give it a little more up-paced offense. Now, you see it with Greg Olsen. We're a little bit more up-paced. We're a little bit more quicker. We've seen a little bit of RPO out of Derek Carr with Foster Moreau last week. I'm like, oh, snaps. He's getting the ball out quickly now instead of doing 5-step drops, 7-step drops. You seeing him 1, 2, 3, boom, or 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. He's getting the ball out quick, and it helps out our offensive line. That means we don't have to hold that long. That's what I love about Tom Cable and Olsen getting that continuity together as coaches. Okay, we can still do a 4-step drop and still get 15 yards with a Foster Moreau. It's just how you game plan it. So it's just looking so good right now on the offensive side of the ball. I have no excuses right now. The way the offensive line has played the last 2 weeks under Olsen and Tom Cable, I can't really say nothing bad about it.
No, you really can. And this one is another one of my pet because everything that you just said. And then the first play, without John Gruden, they came out and ran a play action pass. Now
Right.
they ended up throwing the hook to Ruggs on the outside instead of going deep. But I've been screaming, yelling to anybody who listened to me that they need more play action. That
Mm-hmm.
they also needed to spread the field and let Carr do his thing. For me, my personal belief was I just needed this whole chasm in Raider Nation between love Carr, hate Carr. Said this is an opportunity for everybody to get exactly what they want. There is nothing stopping Carr from going out there and doing whatever it is that he's gonna do. There's
Right.
no buffer. There's no buffer. You can't blame Gruden. You can't blame Olsen because right now the Raiders' best shot at winning is Carr's right arm.
Yep.
That's it. If he
And
goes
him,
out
and
there,
him being a leader this year too. He's a big leader this year.
huge. He's been the rallying point. They needed a leader more than anything, and they could say whoever it was that was going to be in charge. That's all well and good. But if without a leader on the field, this would have fallen apart. And everybody to a man is saying that Carr has been that guy. And I like a little fire. I like a more fiery type personally. That's just me. I like a little bit of a rah-rah in your face kind of guy. But he's getting it done quietly and with respect. And it's working. And I love things that work.
Facts. I know my internet is out, y'all. I know a few people are saying it in the chat. My internet is not at its best. I don't pay the internet here. So if y'all want to donate, donate to help me pay the internet, then that's a different story. But I listen, I live with someone else. I don't pay the internet. So that's just, I got everything else but the internet. So I got to talk to them about getting it better. Lately it have not been this type of issue, but yeah. We still gonna go on with the show, regardless.
It keeps rolling. It won't stop. We'll make it as long as you can hear Spotlight. That's all you need. And if you want to donate, you can donate to the Unfiltered Truth too, because my pocket is a little empty. But yeah, this to what you said about depth of targets. Renfro's not a burner, so his average depth of target is 6.7 yards, which is just underneath the deep safe, the off corners, the off coverages, and that's how he's working those chains and keeping those chains moving. Everybody else is all over double figures. Carr is throwing deeper than he ever has before. I believe he's averaging 9.4 yards per throw.
Yeah,
that is 2 whole yards per throw, better than his entire career. He's been a completely different man. And if taking the chains off, giving him the keys and getting out of the way is what needed to happen, the same thing happened for Rich Gannon. I don't like to compare the two of them because I think they're totally different QBs, but the situations and the circumstances are very eerily similar. This team is poised to make a run, and I hope and pray that Carr gets them to the promised land.
right. And Carr's been here for 8 years, and it's about that time. It's about that time to take that leap. We're tired of losing. I think Carr was tired of losing. I think Carr could say whatever he wants because he's going to be politically correct on these pressers. Right. But behind the scenes, he's happy that Gruden is not here. Even though he said, they're neighbors and whatever of that nature, it doesn't matter. If you can see the difference in playing wise. He doesn't look stressed. He doesn't look depressed. He doesn't look like, damn, I don't want to mess up and make Gruden mad. Rich Versace is the type of coach. Listen, move on to the next play. Don't dwell on it. And I feel like Carr was. I think everybody, not just Carr, but everybody on this team was never like, damn, if I fuck up, what is John Gruden, the big man's going to say? How he want to butcher me? You know what I'm saying? So I just think a lot of the players got much of that freedom there.
Yeah, it definitely. And when you look at the way that things are running, it makes you wonder. So everybody feels this huge need for a high-priced head coach. Got to get this guy with a great name, a rep, an ego, all that other good stuff. But you look at what they're doing with 3 coordinators all working together. And this is what an organization should look like. And in fact, you could take this same approach and look at Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians is talking about he's sitting in his office doing nothing. Byron Leftwich is running the offense. Todd
Right.
Bowles is running the defense. They're doing such a great job. He don't have to do nothing. He's just leaving it to them. Showing up, enjoying the show, calling plays. And I don't even think he's calling plays. Because from what Tom said, Byron is calling the plays. And Tom's not even shaking off Byron. He's letting Byron run the show, which is
Right.
if there's a head coaching move to be made at the end of the season, I would really like to see Byron Leftwich. I was on the Eric Bieniemy train, but I looked at his past transgressions, and I just think that he's too radioactive. Nobody's going to bridge that gap. If he's going to get his shot, it's probably going to be college.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Eric Bieniemy, which I still am, but I wouldn't count out Byron Leftwich, and I probably wouldn't count out Joe Brady either for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
I just think with Joe Brady situation is just that I don't think he has the right personnel to run the offense that he wants in Carolina. And I don't think Sam Darnold's the quarterback there for that personnel, in my opinion. If you go look at Joe Brady, I think he comes from LSU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Look what he did with Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow came in and it's offensive ready, but I just feel like with Sam Darnold, it's just something missing from him as a quarterback. It's something missed him. So I like Joe Brady too. So my three would be Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, and Joe Brady. As offensive minded coach. Now this is my question to you: if Rich Bisaccia get this team to the playoffs, get double-digit wins, do we keep what we have to keep that continuity instead of bringing in a whole new staff?
So now that's a great question, and I got a better answer for that. And this answer is going to encompass the business side, the emotional side, and all of that in between. Yes, you do bring him back, and you do bring everything the same. You keep everything the same. Everybody gets a raise in the front office to make sure that they stay with what they are. I, however, do not give that man more than a 2-year extension, because I need to see everybody do it again, and before he gets that top money. You feel me? Because you got to go through the entire process, and you can win on the field, and that can be cool. It could look all good, but you still have to continue to add to the team. You got to continue to bring in players, and yes, some of that is Mayock, but at some point, Rich Bisaccia has got to have an offense and defensive philosophy of his own. And we don't know what that is. Right now, he's allowing everybody else to do their thing. And so far, the cohesion is good. Everything's cool. But we don't know what Rich Bisaccia is as a head coach. We know what he's doing in the position right now.
Yeah, you got some points there. You have some points there. I just think, I think he'll do it like what Bruce Arians is doing. Let the offense run the offense with his offensive coordinator. Let the defense run the defense. I think he might bring in. He'll probably just keep running the special teams like he has been doing. I think if he does what he's doing right now with the Las Vegas Raiders, I say you keep him on a 2-year extension just for proving purposes. If it doesn't work out in 2 years, then you have to switch out this whole coaching staff. But I think as of right now, I would like to see Bisaccia get a chance under a full year with this team, which is kind of like almost a full year, because I think when he became the interim, week 6, I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It was one of those years, but like 1 or 2 years to make it proven. If it doesn't work out and he makes some crazy moves to a point where we don't agree with, we're going to want him out most likely.
Right. Now, to this point right here, I'll say this, and let's keep it all the way 100, keep it all the way above. If the Raiders don't make the playoffs, Carr may not be here. He may not be here, and you may be looking at a clean sweep at the head coach at the coaching position again. It's possible. I hope that that's not the case. I don't want that to be the case. Let me say that now. But the standard for this year is playoffs. Mayock was getting fired if the Raiders didn't make it to the playoffs. That just because Gruden's gone doesn't mean that now all of a sudden everybody gets a pass. This is a playoff level team. Now they need to get to the play. They need to do what they need to do in order to be an actual playoff team. But if they don't make the playoffs, and once again, that is now 3 years in a row that this personnel has all failed at the goal.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. And keep it in the book, like I said before. If Rich Bisaccia does not win over this locker room and we don't make the playoffs, he gotta go.
He's got the locker room. Go. He's got the locker room right now.
Right, he got the locker room right now. But say it's this then. We make the playoffs with him. He got the locker room, and then he gets this extension, and he doesn't make the playoffs the following year. What happens now? I still say he has to go because I want, as a Raiders fan, I want consistency. If you can't give me consistency, you have to go. That's me. That's just me personally.
No, I feel I would like to know what the circumstances were. I'd like to see what moves were made in the offseason to know that it's not just him, or to know that it is him. That's the difference of putting it over. In terms of if he, that's why I said I wanted to give him a 2-year deal, and at least no more than a 2-year deal, so that if he comes out and bombs out next year, we take a look at what it is, and if you got to make a business move, it don't cost you anything. Obviously, he's not going to be able to command top dollars because his resume is as an auxiliary coach, a special teams coach. So you're not going to be paying him anything crazy. So the fact that he'd be getting a 2-year deal would be great for him. Continue on the dream, all that good stuff. It's a win-win for both sides. You can get out of it without it costing you a bunch. You can keep it rolling, and you can keep all that feeling of positivity and nostalgia rolling. And because Richie B rising to power and making it happen is a Raider ass move.
It is a Raider ass move. Absolutely. It is a Raider ass move. And I just, only thing I'm really nervous about, if we do bring in a new coach after this year, will we keep Gus Bradley? I really hope that we do. Only reason why I say I hope that we do is because the guys love him here. They love him here, and I think you need that consistency out of coaches. Mind you, Paul Gunther was with these guys for many years, and we couldn't get nothing done under Paul Gunther, no matter who we brought in. The free agency, no matter who we brought in the draft. But they love Gus. And I think whoever the next head coach is has to take that into some consideration of, listen, these guys, sometimes you gotta be a player's coach. I understand you gotta make business moves, but if you're a head coach and you look at the defensive staff, you don't want to break that up. You just don't.
No. The only real question that I would have when it comes down to Gus is he going to be okay with being a defensive coordinator, or is he going to want the big job? As with the big job in Jacksonville, it didn't turn out well, but as a defensive coordinator, he's been lights out. So some guys are coordinators, some guys are coaches. That's just the facts. Not everybody can bridge that gap, no matter how much they want to. Look at the situation in Denver. Fangio's defensive tree is amazing. Fangio, as a head coach, is about to get ran out of the franchise.
Yep. I didn't really think Fangio was made to be a head coach in the NFL. He's a great coordinator, but it's Denver we're talking about too.
Yeah. Well, he had a shot with the Bears too, and they had a great defense, but that's it.
Yeah, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have nothing else. So when it comes to Fangio, I mean, at the same time as the Denver Broncos, those guys always make terrible moves when it comes to the coaching position. It's not really. When it comes, I'm talking about in the last about 10 years. About the last 10 years, they just didn't make no good pieces like the Josh McDaniels of the world down to Vic Fangio's you had some other coaches there. I forgot his name. The black guy, I forgot his name. But yes. Denver as an organization in itself, they just don't get nothing. They just don't do nothing correctly. The Donkeys never do nothing correctly. So that's another thing. But Matt says Gus Bradley for head coach next year.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Matt. I don't like it. I'd rather he stayed a defensive coordinator.
Right.
The issue is that is he going to stay a defensive coordinator? Because he might not. He might force his way out. I don't know why. I don't see him getting a head coaching job anyplace else.
I think whoever the head coach is wants to bring in their own staff. I don't think he will force his way out. I think whoever the head coach is, they'll try to bring in their own staff. But like I said before, if that head coach sees that this defensive coordinator has a rapport with this defense and has a positive rapport, why chances of losing them?
And the thought of that's spot on. And the thought of that brings us full circle back to what was the original start of this conversation. Mm-hmm. And that the best possible situation is for not Gus Pratt, but for Rich Bisaccia to get the job and for everything to stay the way that it is. Nothing needs to change. This defense is incredibly successful with the most basic of basic schemes. This offense is putting up points, 30 points in consecutive weeks. Okay, go ahead. It has put up 30 points in consecutive weeks. They've scored on opening drives. They're just going for it. They scored 30 points last week, 30 consecutive points. And there's no reason for anything to change. There's really not. It's working. It's working well. The Raiders are tied for the number 1 seed with Cincinnati and Buffalo in the AFC. They're tied for the lead in the AFC West. Everything that they could possibly want to achieve is out in front of them with a special teams coordinator acting as head coach and your coordinators all working together and coming up with their own individual plans and execute. It's definitely not what you would have expected once John Gruden was gone. Everybody said, "Oh, we want to get rid of him. We want to see what's going on." Oh, well, he's got his hands in everything, and it looks like he had his hands in too much. He could have been better if he would have just sat back and chilled and not been a lunatic on the sidelines.
Yeah, I just think he was just like a military type of guy and tell these guys to do this and do that, and it just didn't resonate with the team of being too powerful. It just didn't resonate with the team enough. And with John Gruden, it can be a headache sometimes. And I felt like he had too much power, and Mike Mayock and Mark Davis gave him too much leeway to do whatever he wants.
He would be a better college coach with his philosophy, his energy, and more importantly, the college turnover, because it's been said that he wears his welcome out in about 4 years. And if he were to go coach at the college level in 4 years, he'll have a completely different football team.
Do you think John Gruden would even get another coaching job?
Oh, he's finished.
Oh, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, he's finished. He's done in the NFL. He's done in college. Maybe he coached high school. Somebody said something about the Arena League, but I mean, at that point, he'd be a walking lawsuit waiting to happen. Somebody could just walk up and say that he said so, looked at him crazy and said something under his breath. Teams getting sued, and everybody's looking at him like, you knew that this is what he does. And I'll say this about Gruden, and I've held off on this and given my opinion about this, given everything of what he said. I believe that John Gruden is a shit talker, an old school shit talker who talks shit about everybody. A lot of the things that he's been on record and saying in these emails, whether people will admit it or not, is the same thing that y'all been saying every day. But he got caught up for it.
And if I'm John Gruden right now, I would definitely put out a podcast and throw everybody under the bus. If I'm John Gruden.
Well, he reached a settlement with Mark Davis about the remainder of his contract. So that's been an undisclosed amount. But at this point in time, he's no longer an employee of the NFL. and he's no longer bound by that NDA. He should be able to say whatever the hell he wants to at this point.
I'm not really an advocate for Gruden, but listen, if you got thrown under the bus the way you got thrown under the bus, I'd say it's 650,000 emails that was looked at. Number one, so somebody else had to say something. If I'm Gruden, I'm opening up a podcast. I don't give a shit.
No, that's real. That's real. But Spotlight, my kids just got home. We've been going for an hour and a half strong. It's been a blast. We'll have to do this again. Let everybody know where to find you.
You can find me on Facebook at the Spotlight Raiders Talk, Twitter Spotlight RN Talk, Instagram Spotlight Raiders Talk, and on YouTube Spotlight Raiders Talk.
Right on. And as always, you know where to find us. Unfiltered Truth here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. At Phil Robinson III is my handle. Phil Robinson III, Phil Robinson III, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that good stuff. Spotlight, my dude. We didn't hit the end of the road.
It's all love, man. Listen, on Twitter, definitely check them out on when they do their space stuff on Twitter too, because they spaces be dope on there. I'll just be sitting there listening. I'll be one to speak. I let y'all talk because I do enough talking on here on YouTube enough. So I let y'all talk. I listen in, but definitely go check them out on Twitter, man. They definitely have some good spaces, especially after the games, post game stuff. So definitely check them out, y'all.
Right on. Appreciate that, y'all. Everybody in the comment section, thank you. We had 32 now. I think we got up to 40 something with live views. We appreciate each and every one of you. Like, subscribe, follow, love us, do all of that good stuff. And as always, be good to each other. We out.
Peace.